The Mind Club, Who Thinks, What Feels, and Why It Matters by Daniel M. Wegner and Kurt Gray is a provocative and richly layered exploration of how we perceive minds, our own and others. The book doesn't just ask what a mind is, but investigates who we believe has a mind, why that matters morally and socially, and how our beliefs about minds shape the way we interact with the world. Drawing from psychology, neuroscience, philosophy, and cultural analysis, the authors build a fascinating narrative about the criteria we unconsciously use to judge the mental lives of others. At the core of the book is the concept of the Mind Club, a metaphor for those beings to whom we grant mental capacities. Admission into this club isn't based on objective criteria but rather on the stories we tell ourselves about who or what can think, feel, suffer, plan, or intend. We often assume our perception of other minds is straightforward, but Wegner and Gray show that our intuitions about mind are shaped by biases, context, emotion, and cultural cues. This can lead to both inclusion and exclusion in surprising, often troubling, ways. The authors introduce a powerful framework for understanding minds through two dimensions: agency, the capacity to act and make decisions, and experience, the capacity to feel and suffer. We tend to assign different combinations of these to different entities. For example, a robot might be seen as high in agency but low in experience, while a baby is high in experience but low in agency. This framework becomes the backbone of the book, revealing how we construct mental and moral status for everything from animals to gods to corporations. One of the most compelling sections explores the human mind itself. The authors argue that understanding our own mind is a surprisingly tricky endeavor. We often attribute control and intention to ourselves even when behavior is driven by unconscious processes or external forces. This illusion of conscious will was a focus of Wegner's earlier work, and in the Mind Club, it's expanded to show how our assumptions about selfhood are riddled with mental shortcuts and constructed narratives. The book then moves outward, examining how we perceive the minds of others. Family, friends, strangers, and enemies are all filtered through our mental models of mind. The more we empathize with someone, the more we attribute mental depth and moral worth to them. Conversely, those we dehumanize, through war, prejudice, or social distance, are denied membership in the Mind Club. This has profound ethical implications, as mind perception is closely tied to how we distribute compassion, punishment, and protection. A particularly moving section of the book addresses animals. Many people grant pets minds because of emotional bonds, while denying the same to animals raised for food or science. The authors unpack this inconsistency, showing how cultural norms and personal experiences affect whether we see a cow as a sentient being or a steak. This highlights the elasticity of moral concern and the ways in which selective empathy guides our ethical landscapes. Religious and supernatural minds are also part of the discussion. Gods, spirits, and other invisible entities often get full mental agency and intention from believers. This capacity to perceive minds where none can be empirically observed reveals how deeply our brains are wired to detect agency. We see intentionality in natural disasters, random illness, or misfortune, attributing them to some greater mind at work. The authors show that belief in divine minds follows similar cognitive rules as belief in human minds, driven by the desire to find meaning and agency in a chaotic world. On the other side of the spectrum are those we struggle to see as having minds, people in vegetative states, individuals with dementia, or even artificial intelligences. These borderline minds challenge our moral and psychological intuitions. When someone can't speak or move, do they still have an inner life? The book dives into how slight cues, eye movement, facial expression, or technology-assisted communication, can suddenly elevate someone's perceived mind status, altering how they're treated and understood. Wegner and Gray explore the moral consequences of these perceptions. Who we see as having a mind dictates who gets rights, who deserves empathy, and who is held responsible for their actions. A corporation, for example, might be seen as having agency but no experience, making it liable for wrongdoing without deserving compassion. A child, by contrast, might be seen as having experience but not agency, thus evoking protection rather than blame. These distinctions are not just philosophical, they inform our laws, institutions, and social contracts. The authors also reflect on non-human intelligences, especially in the context of AI. As machines become more sophisticated and mimic human behavior, people begin to attribute minds to them, even when they are only running algorithms. This raises essential questions. Another essential dimension of the book is how minds are perceived across social and political divides. Race, gender, class, and disability all affect who gets mind credit in society. People of marginalized identities are often denied full personhood by being seen as lacking either agency or experience. The book connects these insights to real-world injustices, from systemic racism to misogyny to the treatment of the disabled, showing how mind perception underlies prejudice. Throughout the narrative, Wegner and Gray offer stories, studies, and thought experiments that reveal the hidden complexity of mind attribution. They don't provide easy answers but invite readers to reflect deeply on their own intuitions. Why do we feel more pity for a hurt dog than a starving child on the news? Why do we punish someone more when we think they acted intentionally? These questions go to the heart of what it means to be moral, empathetic, and human. Despite its intellectual depth, the book maintains an engaging, often playful tone. The writing blends clarity with humor, helping complex ideas land with emotional resonance. The authors balance scientific rigor with a storyteller's sensitivity, making the concepts memorable and thought-provoking. Each chapter feels like peeling back a layer of the human psyche, showing not only how we judge minds but also why we need to. In its final chapters, the Mind Club turns philosophical. It asks what it means to really know another mind and whether full understanding is even possible. The authors conclude that while perfect empathy may be unattainable, striving to see minds in others, especially those different from us, is a moral act. By expanding our personal mind clubs, we grow not only in compassion but in self-awareness, learning to see our own assumptions and blind spots more clearly. Ultimately, the Mind Club is a meditation on empathy, morality, and the boundaries of what we consider human. It challenges readers to reconsider who belongs in their circle of concern and how perceptions of mind shape the world around them. Through science and storytelling,